years. If you're familiar with this area, you see some folks that are out on the streets in terms of pedestrians. And about that, because this driver has been going so fast, so recklessly, blowing stop signs, blowing through intersections, going fast on the freeway, clearly not afraid to hit into something, which we've seen. And so you worry at this time of night on a Friday, on a really nice night weather-wise, Christine. I'm sure there are people who are out walking their dogs. You just saw some folks playing basketball there, going almost 60 miles an hour at one point. You know, people that may be out and not expecting this. Christine, in the fact that this is now a following and not a actual, you know, pursuit with the black and whites and the sirens right behind, is that people would really have no reason to think that a car is coming like this. There are the helicopters overhead, not only the LAPD helicopter, but the helicopters from
a car pulling into a driveway or backing out there slowed that car for a second. There are two freeways not too far away. There's the 10 freeway and the 110. The suspect was on the 110 before. Is this driver no, reversing. Okay, perhaps seeing some traffic ahead. Again, look at the people in the road there. Pedestrians. I would get out of the way there.
Do they know this person? Are they?
Well, you know the helicopters are there.
Right, and the looky-loos that may be watching this on the news and see, oh, that's right by my street. Do I want to go outside and see what's going to happen? We don't know the mindset of is this person armed? Are they under the influence of something? You know, what led to all of this? So it's a good rule of thumb to not put yourself in the middle of one of these things, not knowing what's going to happen. Hit. Based off of the way this person is driving. So if this is good, the better idea is to stay inside, and if you enjoy this sort of thing, keep watching us on TV. So another stop sign. What happens, as we know, Christine, at the end of this is that they will go through, and every one of these traffic violations, there's another one, could be added onto this person's potential sentence. So you wonder, as we've talked about so often, that people will go to a neighborhood that they're familiar with, maybe where they live, where their parents live, where a friend lives, maybe try to stash the car, go into somebody's home or something like that versus sort of a random neighborhood. Oftentimes we see people circling in those neighborhoods trying to get home or trying to get to a loved one who they may be in communication with via cell phone, something like that. We don't know if that's what's happening here, but we do know, Christine, that this person for at least some time now has to get on the 110 freeway, not to get on the 10 freeway, and to continue circling this South LA neighborhood.
Well, I'm wondering too, with the people who were able to bail from this vehicle, are police talking to them? And then you see the damage there again to that passenger side now of the vehicle, parts of the car hanging off there. And we talk about, as you said, neighborhoods that might feel familiar to the driver. They have stayed in the South LA area since we've picked up this. Again, this started in Hawthorne. It is a following now due to the danger of it. And we keep seeing those pedestrians on the road, the people that are standing in the street, people coming home on a Friday night. It's dinner hour, it's rush hour, kids are out of school. And you just have to worry about all the people that are unsuspecting and could get hurt in something like this.
Right. So we're at Catalina Street and now moving on to Adams Boulevard. This is going near Juliet Street. This is the Adams Normandy neighborhood of Los Angeles. Again, for people just joining us, not too far from USC, not too far from some of the landmarks in that neighborhood, including the Coliseum, Exposition Park, Science Center. So moving pretty quickly right now down Adams, which is a major thoroughfare in that neighborhood. We do see some people are out at the bus stop, out near the 7-Eleven and the gas station and other things. And they're all potentially in the line if this person loses control and is skidding out, something like that. You know, without, though, the active black and whites following this driver in a traditional pursuit, there is not as much incentive for this thing to end. You're not going to see clearly a pit maneuver if nobody's there to do it. The risk when they move to following, that this driver could say go into an underground parking lot and the helicopter isn't able to spot them, and that could happen. So we are now officially 6 o'clock here in Southern California on this Friday night. Our Christine Devine for joining us for the 5 o'clock. We now Marla Tejas for the Fox 11 News at 6. And Marla, tonight we begin with yet another pursuit
of a alleged stolen Kia Soul. I'm pointing that out because we have been covering many pursuits of late of Kia Souls, if you'll remember, Alex. And of course, it is one of the most stolen vehicles right now. It's not a good look. Hyundai and Kias are the most stolen vehicles currently. So we have another one. This is underway, Jefferson Park. Our Extreme Nav technology up above, and that doesn't look like it's it.
Nope.
Did we lose it? Potentially, but we have been following this, and it was a full-blown pursuit, and then they backed off because of the danger, and, you know, very dangerous considering the damage that was done on that Kia Soul.
So a few seconds after I talked about the danger of not having a traditional pursuit with black and whites on the ground, and because you can lose it from we lose it from the helicopter. So there you go. As we pull out, you get a better sense of where we are. And you can see Gramercy Place there, some of the older. There we go, back on track. Nice job, Sky Fox, in finding this. It is challenging for the helicopter pilots. That aid of all the sirens, which give them an indication where the car is. They're just looking at this small Kia Soul in the midst of all these other cars in the middle of rush hour traffic on a Friday evening. So we did see this car moving real fast earlier. At one point, got out of it. It is clear on the other side that there was some serious damage sustained on the driver's side of this, and we do see that piece of the car basically riding on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's the striping of the vehicle there, to your point, exactly that, riding on the ground. So West Adams Boulevard, picking up speed, 50+ miles per hour, very dangerous, crossing over the double yellow lines there. This is, you know, that fine line that law enforcement has to walk in terms of, do we actively pursue, do we back off because of the danger to all of the innocent people out there on this Friday evening, 6 o'clock, 6:02. This is the balancing act that they do.
And that they have a lot of experience with based off of what we've seen, not only in the recent weeks, but in the recent years as well, as we see so many of these pursuits in Southern California. So it is interesting that continues to stay on side streets, stay in the South LA community, and not move onto the freeway at this point. You wonder if some of that may have to do with the fact that it might be jammed at this point on a Friday night, and these side streets don't have as much traffic. We're joined now by our police specialist, Tim Lin, who spent many years in the chopper and on the ground as part of law enforcement in these pursuits, spent many years in the air covering these for local news stations here. Tim, what are the most important things that we should know about this one?
With this one, with the way he's driving, and the LAPD and also Hawthorne PD not wanting to stay involved in it, it's just a matter of just following and hoping he doesn't hit anybody right at this point.
Well, clearly he's hit, given the damage on the front end there. Now we're on the wrong side of the street, Tim. Oh gosh, making that left turn. So now we're West Jefferson Boulevard, 7th Avenue, Jefferson Park. What are your thoughts on the fact that currently law enforcement has decided to back off, but of course they do track from above?
Oh, we do talk about that quite a bit, about the tracking versus actually chasing, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know, if you chase them and they wreck into somebody and end up injured, then you have a problem with the civil liability that comes out of that. And then again, if you let him go like this and he continues to drive in a reckless manner, and he's, as you see, he's already hit people. He has a lot of damage on that left front and on the right side as he goes through these intersections without even stopping. Then if he hits somebody at this point, then they will come out and say, well, you should have been chasing him, trying to stop him, because right now all you have is a reckless driver going through these neighborhoods, and there's no indication that he's being chased. There's no sirens. There's nothing of that sort going on to warn people around him to get out of the way. So all you have is this person coming up on intersections, forcing their way in, and kind of pushing through intersections like this. And so you have a couple things that could happen on this besides just getting into a wreck. You could get into a road rage act situation where he makes somebody else mad and they start chasing each other. Then you have two people racing around the streets. But working here along Arlington and 36, these are very tight areas, and this time of night, they are all congested. So if he starts trying to hit the wrong side of the street or push his way through this traffic, it's going to end up with more likely crashing here. But obviously he doesn't care, and he's just going to push his way through and not worry about anybody else on the road.
Yeah, I mean, this neighborhood, for people that are familiar with it, is very jammed in. There's not a lot of wide streets. There's not a lot of places to go. And there's a lot of people that may be out on the streets as well, which increases the danger of this and may increase the agitation for this driver. We wonder about their familiarity with this neighborhood. Why do they continue to stay in this neighborhood when they could be going somewhere else, kind of going in circles in this South LA spot? Circles may be the wrong word. Sometimes we literally see somebody go in circles and keep going on the same streets. That's not what we're seeing here. But sticking to this South LA area as they continue to drive and continue to evade law enforcement, who have made the decision to not be chasing him on the ground with the lights and sirens, and to sort of let this person keep moving.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah.
so originally, according to the notes here, Hawthorne PD picked this up as we're at the stoplight with
Watch
this
out for this
innocent
pedestrian.
pedestrian going, huh? Okay, I got the right of way, and thank goodness that man is okay. So Hawthorne PD, first one to pick up the pursuit and then handed it off to CHP. So then is it CHP's call to back off? And if they do go back on into pursuit mode, is that CHP? How does that hierarchy work?
Well, as soon as CHP let it go and called off pursuit, it doesn't belong to anybody. And at this point, LAPD is aware of it because of the air units overhead. They all communicate with each other. The sheriff's helicopters, CHP helicopters, as well as LAPD are on the same frequency, and they can talk with each other from air to air. And so they're keeping each other apprised of what's going on. Now, it's up to the watch commanders in the decision whether they re-engage on the ground with the suspect. They're dead in the middle of LAPD territory. So CHP would not get back involved at this point, would be my best guess. And right now it looks like LAPD is not interested in it as well. And as you know, over the last year or so, they've really changed policy and procedures with their pursuits of not chasing what is a property crime. This is a stolen vehicle, as all they have the information about. And at that point, it just becomes, as I said, a property crime. The person being arrested, is going to be for felony evading. But unless they figure out who he hit or what he hit prior to this pursuit starting, or did it happen during the time Hawthorne PD was involved, that's the only charge pending. And right now, we don't have that information. So it's, the watch commanders are going to be watching the feed from, the local media on this, also hearing the call from the air units that are overhead to decide when to come back in. But as you said, over the last year or so,
okay,
not really
this is when things get more dangerous. So now we're going the wrong side of the road, and we're going fast. This is where we have the much higher potential for crash. Thankfully got back in side of the road, but now this driver getting increasingly aggressive without the ground units there. I mean, there really isn't a whole lot that can be done to stop this thing, right? I mean, it's basically just wait and see, watch what the driver does, and hope he doesn't do anything too bad, because then they might question you and say, why weren't you on the ground?
Right, exactly. And when they disengage from the pursuit, they're not going to be waiting ahead of him with spike strips or any type of prevention like that. But, yeah, like I said, double-edged sword. You're going to get sued one way or the other. It's just a matter of how they're hoping this guy just gives up and gets rid of the car. So that's what they're hoping for, that he's just going to realize he's not being chased. He's going to get sorry, and just park it and get out. So, but right now, wrong side of the street again, and going down Western here, it's a very heavily traveled street. You see he's going against traffic with cross traffic coming ahead. And just, you know, he's just lucky he's not going head on with somebody who's just trying to get home from work or from school. And also at this time of night in that area, you have a lot of people on bicycles, pedestrians, and things of that sort. But here, just right down the center divider, working his way down the street, passing traffic. And as you're going along, just going home, you're not expecting somebody to come down the left side of you. And if you start to move in, there he's coming up on a fresh red and going to go through
watch that person.
Intersection.
Multiple people there. Yeah, and then you also think, you know, sometimes people that may be in traffic, they're looking down at their phones or they're, you know, busy making plans on a Friday night and may not be totally, completely alert and not be expecting somebody to be driving really fast on the wrong side of the road, too. And a reminder to all of us, me sometimes guilty of this, too, to, you know, when you're driving, be alert.
Well, exactly. You're going to have to keep your head on the swivel when you're driving around town, but you're never expecting somebody to come up to the stop sign and just blow right through it. I mean,
right.
How many times have you made that left turn in front of a car coming to a four-way stop, expecting them to stop? Now, this guy is not going to do that. Or coming up to a green light, not paying attention. Here, this guy comes down the wrong side of the street and goes right through the red light. So that's the problem we're having here with this guy driving the way he's driving, is that eventually he's going to run out of luck.
What do you make driving so aggressively without ground units on his tail? I mean, this is he doesn't need to do this.
You know, and people that, you know, do things like this, they're not really right. Tell if there's some type of intoxicant on board, or they've been using alcohol or drugs. Or do they have a mental issue? We talk about that quite a bit, where what causes a person to take this much risk just to drive around really fast? And, you know, I don't know if he's trying to hope the police come back in so he can, or if he's just being, you know, having a mental episode or something at this point. But right now, wrong side of going through here, going through the intersection. Yeah, look at the damage on the car there.
Yeah, significant damage on both sides. So for folks who are just and hoping to catch the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock and get some news of the day, this is it for right now. This is the pursuit of an alleged stolen vehicle. It's a Kia Soul. We now know that the Kias and the Hyundais are some of the most sought after vehicles in terms of those that are stolen. We've covered so many of these involving Kia Souls. While we are calling this a pursuit, all enforcement has backed off, so that's why you haven't seen active black and whites tracking the guy on the bike there. Thank goodness that person is okay. We're on Menlo Avenue and West 40th Place, LA, and we've seen the same territory for the most part as long as we've been on the air with this. And Tim, the fact that law enforcement has decided to back off, now we are at that wider view because of Skyfox. Obviously, if the person knew, right corner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Skyfox can't hear you, right?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, Alex would be in his heyday. Okay. Tim, so here we are. I don't know if we've lost the key at this point. You know, that they give up or they go to their known location and surrender, or just make a run for it or something. Just get the vehicle off the road.
Yeah, open for it, but yeah, they have lost. They drove out the bottom right corner of the screen there, as Alex said. So yeah, it's gonna be tough getting it back with all these trees and all this area. And also, I haven't had a chance to look at the radar to see if there's an LAPD unit overhead. But from what I'm guessing, there is not an air unit overhead, because as the pilot would do in the news helicopters, kind of key on where the police helicopter is. But right now, it looks like they've completely lost it here. So
yeah, we did see a pilot maybe was over it, but maybe they've lost it as well. I mean, at this point, you know, there are basically four outcomes. One, we lose it and the cops lose it from the air, and then the pursuit is over that way. Two, the driver just gives up because they run out of gas or decide that they found a home or found another place to escape to. Three, there's some sort of crash that causes the driver to give up. Those seem to be the potential outcomes at this point as we try to figure out where exactly this car. You wonder, is he telling this guy I want to get in, and are we now about to go on the freeway? It looks like we may be heading back onto the freeway. This is the 110 freeway. We have not been on the freeway since we've been on the air with this for the last 25 minutes or so. As anybody knows who drives in traffic on Friday nights in Los Angeles, there a lot of traffic on a Friday evening on the 110. This is an area where there's a lot of different freeways coming in together, and we are now headed on the southbound way. We're near Flower Street, 42nd on the 110 freeway. We'll see how long this driver stays on the freeway.
Well, there was a LAPD ground unit right behind him as he got on the freeway, and it looks like ground unit pulled off to the right there underneath that overpass. So now it looks like Skyfox may have lost him again here. It's really difficult in this area with that overhead carpool lane and then the high sound walls to be able to get in there. And like it's unfortunate they cannot get into the Class Bravo airspace, which is the airspace that leads into LAX. So once they get into that area, they have to back off. So that's why you're looking at such a long shot. So the camera operator having a heck of a time, the Skyfox staying with it just because.
Okay, Tim, we're hearing that he has been taken into custody right underneath the bridge somewhere. So maybe we'll get a visual on
maybe
that.
That was it.
Yeah, that may have just been it. So that's good news. Although we don't see that happening, but we intel that the pursuit is over. He's on the ground and will be put into handcuffs any moment now. So